The medieval tavern, forget your storybook inns. This was the loud, smoky, sticky, beating heart of any town. A place where knights, peasants, and bards alike found themselves drunk, vulnerable to thieves, and sharing space with danger, revelry, and probably disease, all huddled under a thatched roof. Imagine you're an exhausted traveler, slogging through muddy, stinking streets after a downpour. You wouldn't find a tavern by its sign, you'd follow the sound, a raucous blend of laughter, shouts, and booming, off-key singing. This symphony of chaos would lead you to a leaning, dilapidated wooden building, its crudely painted sign barely hinting at what lay within. Push open the heavy, groaning door, and you're hit by a wall of hot, thick air. The smell? A potent cocktail of wood smoke, damp wool, stale ale, and unidentifiable food. Inside, a dim light, low ceilings, and a literal dirt floor, barely masked by straw that did little for hygiene. No quiet corners here, the medieval tavern thrived on boisterous activity. Your first glimpse, crooked, crowded benches, arguments over stolen goods, unconscious patrons, and a stray dog gnawing on a bone. Welcome to an experience you wouldn't soon forget, for better or worse. Darkness and unease settled in. Flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on soot-stained walls. A crackling fireplace offered warmth, but also the constant threat of fire from its likely inefficient chimney. But the smell, that was overwhelming, spilled sour ale, stale sweat, moldy bread, damp straw, and cooked onions, all mingling into one unforgettable aroma. Furniture? Rickety, scarred tables and creaking benches. The straw-covered dirt floor hid God knows what. Yet, despite the grime and sensory overload, the tavern pulsed with a raw, unfiltered energy. Snagging a seat, probably damp and sticky, felt like a victory. The layout was pure chaos, a haphazard scattering of tables, benches, and barrels. A large, open hearth dominated one wall, drawing patrons despite the accompanying smoke. The bar was often just a plank over barrels, where the tavern keeper managed the limited offerings, usually ale, forget a menu. A rickety staircase led to mysterious upstairs rooms, and some taverns had a backroom best left uninvestigated. Yet, somehow, an unspoken order existed. People navigated this vibrant mess, adding to it. And who ruled this domain? Not a noble, but the tavern keeper. A burly man or a sharp-witted woman, they were the cook, server, accountant, peacemaker, and dispenser of rough justice, all rolled into one. They knew everyone's debts, secrets, and drinking limits by heart. The tavern keeper set the tone, settled disputes with a shout, or a club, and was the first defense against troublemakers. This figure was the linchpin, keeping the ale flowing and a semblance of order in the beautiful bedlam. Once settled, it was all about the drink, though choices were grim. Ale was king, unfiltered, unpasteurized, murky, and served warm in tankards, often bearing remnants of the last customer. Mead offered a sweeter, stronger kick, while cider was a tart alternative. Wine. A luxury, usually watered down. And water itself? A death wish. Even kids drank the weak ale, safer than the water. The rule, if it's liquid and doesn't kill you instantly, it's drinkable. Food followed, with rock-bottom expectations. Forget menus. You got a pottage, a perpetual stew of grains, vegetables, and mystery meat, simmering for days. Maybe some hard bread and strong cheese if you were lucky. You ate with your fingers or your own knife, sleeves were your napkins. This was survival fuel, not fine dining. But the real show was the clientele, a boisterous farmer spinning yarns, a cloaked figure watching from the shadows, a scarred soldier boasting of exaggerated battles. Merchants haggled, locals cheated at dice, and a barely talented bard provided a questionable soundtrack. The air itself was a cacophony, clanking tankards, roaring laughter, overlapping shouts, and the occasional animal noise, yes, sometimes even a goat. As the night wore on, the tavern became a makeshift casino. Dice games, played with bone or wood, were rife with cheating and accusations. Stakes ranged from coins to livestock, even temporary servitude. Storytelling also took center stage, the ale loosening tongues. Tales of bear fights and noble lineage grew taller with each round, because in a medieval tavern, truth never spoiled a good story. And the flirting? Crude and direct. A toothless grin might earn a bread crust to the head. But amidst the chaos, unlikely connections formed. Of course, it often ended in a brawl. A spilled drink, a cheating accusation, anything could set it off. Benches flew, tankards shattered. It was more comedy than carnage, clumsy punches, epic tumbles. The tavern keeper would wade in, roaring, club in hand. But just as suddenly, it would end. No grudges, just bruises and another story for the collection. In a medieval tavern, a good brawl was just part of the night's entertainment. When the brawl died down, the bard passed out mid-song, and your stomach was full of mystery stew, it was time to attempt sleep. Don't expect feather beds. If the tavern offered lodging, it was up a creaky staircase to small, cold, shared rooms. Privacy was a fantasy. You'd be side by side with snoring strangers, their garlic breath invading your dreams. Beds were thin straw pallets, probably with a few medieval companions of their own. You slept fully clothed, boots on, dagger under your pillow. Too poor or drunk for a room. You'd crash on a bench, under a table, or by the dying fire, hoping not to get stepped on. Sleep eventually came, amidst lingering murmurs and the crackle of embers. It wasn't comfortable, it wasn't clean, but it was relatively safe. You'd wake with a sore neck, dry mouth, and a mysterious bruise, praying your boots were still on your feet. Dawn would creep in. Someone's boot might be on your chest. The bard would be snoring under a table, a chicken pecking at scraps. The tavern keeper, already up, would be banging tankards, your wake-up call. Breakfast? More pottage, if you were lucky. Still, a survivor's grin. Because after the sweat, smoke, sticky ale, and flying benches, one thing was clear, the medieval tavern was the community's thumping pulse. No internet, no newspapers, this was the news hub. A place of connection where social classes blurred, rumors flew, deals were struck, and feuds simmered. In one night, you could find a job, lose your purse, or start a lifelong rivalry. It was an escape, a raw, vital slice of medieval life. You weren't just buying ale, you were buying belonging, stories, and a spot near the fire. Before cafes and pubs, there was the tavern, loud, dirty, brutally honest, and utterly unforgettable. From the grime of the medieval tavern, we journey to the sun-baked sands of ancient Egypt, and to a queen shrouded in mystery, Nefertiti. Her name means, the beautiful one has come forth, but her true origins? Still debated. Was she the daughter of a high official, or a foreign princess? We don't know for sure. What we do know is that Nefertiti burst onto the scene as an equal partner to Pharaoh Akhenaten, in a reign that would shatter Egypt's religious foundations. Together, they cast aside the old gods, declaring Aten, the sun disk, the only deity. This was radical, and Nefertiti was no passive bystander. She led ceremonies, made offerings, and was even depicted smiting enemies, a role usually reserved for kings. She was everywhere in the art of the time, sometimes even more prominent than Akhenaten himself, hinting at a power far beyond that of a typical queen. Perhaps even a co-ruler. But this revolution bred enemies. The old priesthood seethed. The capital was moved to a new city, Amarna. And despite her immense visibility, Nefertiti's end is a complete enigma, no tomb, no body, no confirmed death. To truly grasp Nefertiti's rise, you need to understand Akhenaten. Born Amenhotep IV, he was the pharaoh who dared to defy millennia of tradition. He didn't just change a god, he upended Egyptian civilization. Temples to the old gods were shuttered. Akhenaten built his new city, Akhetaten, devoted to Aten, and Nefertiti was by his side, a central figure in this new world. The art style itself transformed, becoming more natural, intimate, showing the royal family in tender, yet powerful, moments. Some historians even believe Nefertiti wielded true political power, perhaps ruling under another name. Love, strategy, necessity? Whatever the reason, her partnership was vital. But revolutions are fragile things. At her peak, Nefertiti was an icon, beauty, divine power, and real authority. She bore Akhenaten 6 daughters, their family life captured in intimate art. But she was more than a mother. She wore the blue crown of kings, crushed enemies in reliefs, and seemed poised for even greater power, perhaps taking on more responsibilities as Akhenaten's health declined. And then, silence. Around year 12 of Akhenaten's 17-year reign, she vanishes from public record. No fanfare, no funeral inscriptions, no confirmed burial. Did she die young? Fall from power? Or did she become something even greater? One day, she's everywhere. The next, gone like a whisper on the desert wind. For a queen so central, so visible, her absence is a gaping hole in history. So, what happened? Theory 1, simple death. Childbirth was perilous. But for a revered goddess queen, where's the grand funeral? Theory 2, political downfall. Perhaps Akhenaten, increasingly isolated, sidelined her. Or the most thrilling theory, Nefertiti didn't disappear. She transformed. Evidence suggests a mysterious figure named Neferneferuiten, possibly Nefertiti under a new name, ruled as pharaoh, even referring to Akhenaten as her beloved husband in inscriptions. A woman pharaoh. But this reign, if it was hers, was short-lived. A ghost queen soon replaced by the boy king Tutankhamun, who would reverse his parents' revolution. Enter Tutankhamun, the boy king famed not for his reign, but his treasure-filled tomb. But who was his mother? Akhenaten was his father, but was Nefertiti his mother, or stepmother? Some art in Tut's tomb even shows a queenly figure anointing him, resembling Nefertiti. Could she have guided him from the shadows, her name erased, yet her influence remaining? The irony, Tutankhamun's fame would ultimately bring Nefertiti's image back to the world. Yet, for all her power, Nefertiti has no confirmed tomb. How could one of Egypt's most potent queens vanish in a culture obsessed with the afterlife? Was she buried in haste, her radical legacy too dangerous? Or is her tomb still hidden, perhaps even behind the walls of Tutankhamun's own burial chamber, as some radar scans once tantalizingly suggested? The search continues. So why do we remember a queen with no grave? Look to Berlin. The iconic bust of Nefertiti, rediscovered in 1912. Her long neck, distinct blue crown, and unfinished eye, an image of timeless beauty and regal power that made her a global icon. This single sculpture resurrected her from the mists of time. Nefertiti remains a paradox, so documented, yet so unknown. A goddess, a strategist, a revolutionary. Her name was almost erased, but 3,000 years later, it's whispered across the globe. The mystery fuels her legend. Perhaps this was her ultimate act of power, to become timeless, forever sought, forever enigmatic. Nefertiti, the beautiful one, has come forth, never truly left. She lives in our unending quest to understand her. Our journey now takes us to China, where mist-shrouded mountains hide a sleeping dragon. But this isn't a creature of myth, it's sculpted from earth and stone by centuries of calloused hands, the Longji Rice Terraces, also known as the dragon's backbone. Imagine shimmering ribbons violentia the mountainsides, like the scales of some colossal beast. This breathtaking landscape began over 700 years ago. The Zhuang and Yao people, faced with steep, unforgiving terrain and only simple tools, asked a simple question: how do we eat? The answer took generations. With stone tools and bamboo baskets, they carved the hills, teaching the land to breathe with them. Rain became a resource, slopes became sustenance. Over time, these hand-built terraces, a testament to human persistence, grew to resemble a resting dragon, powerful, ancient, and sacred. More than farming, this is a silent pact with nature. Today, the dragon's backbone still feeds entire villages, a stunning reminder of what patience and harmony can build. Water is the lifeblood of this dragon. No pumps, just ancient, hand-dug channels guiding water from mountain springs down to each terraced level. It's a delicate hydraulic ballet, managed by villagers who adjust simple stone or wooden sluices, a task more like tuning an instrument than farming. And this water does more than nourish rice, it mirrors the heavens. In spring, the flooded terraces become surreal sky-reflecting pools. Summer brings a sea of emerald green as the rice sways in the wind. Autumn paints them gold. In winter, the dragon sleeps, sometimes under a blanket of snow. This is a place where time is measured in seasons and raindrops, not seconds. Spring planting is a sacred ritual. Farmers, young and old, wade barefoot into the cold mud, transplanting each rice seedling by hand, often with songs and offerings to mountain spirits. It's a slow dance with nature. Nearby, villages like Pingan and Dazai are living museums, their wooden stilt houses like lanterns on green waves. Here, ethnic minorities like the Zhuang and Red Yao maintain ancient customs, from the Yao women's famously long, uncut hair to their hand-woven clothes. Legend says the terraces themselves are the dragon's body, its breath the morning mist. Whether you believe in dragons or not, a palpable sacredness hangs in the air. For centuries, the dragon's backbone was a mountain secret. But as the modern world arrived, so did tourists. The people of Longji adapted gracefully, weaving the present into their past. They opened their homes, sharing their culture, while traditional farming continues. Tourism brings income, rice brings life, one sustains the other. The beauty of Longji is its eternal cycle, a landscape that's never the same twice, transforming with each season. It's a living testament to an ancient vow between humans and the land. These terraces weren't built overnight, they took centuries of patience and care. They remind us that true progress isn't always about speed, and greatness doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it whispers, like a stream flowing through stone. And that is why Longji touches so many. It holds the secret to what we've almost forgotten, that enduring things are built with rhythm, humility, and time. From the serene mountains of China, we return to Egypt, but not to the familiar gaze of the Great Sphinx. Most visitors to Giza look up, but what if a colossal secret lies beneath the waters of the Nile? Near the ancient village of Abu Rosh, whispers persist of an underwater sphinx. For generations, local fishermen have spoken of a massive, smooth shape, too symmetrical to be natural, half buried in river mud. When the Nile recedes, parts are said to emerge, curved stone, even what some claim is a sculpted paw. It's not on any tourist map. Sonar has detected geometric patterns beneath the murky depths. The most startling claim? This underwater anomaly could predate the pyramids by millennia, potentially rewriting Egyptian history. Conventional timelines place the Great Sphinx around 2500 BC. Skeptics dismiss it as a natural rock formation. Official archaeology has largely ignored it. Is it nothing? Or is it everything, a relic of a lost world, silently waiting? The legend gained global traction in the 1980s. Independent researchers and divers reported a massive, lion-bodied figure near Giza, partly submerged. Early photos were grainy, inconclusive, easily dismissed. Yet, one early proponent swore he saw a weathered monument during a drought, geometric, even with hints of a carved face. This directly challenged the traditional narrative of the Great Sphinx being built around 2500 BC. An older, submerged Sphinx? That would rewrite everything. Mainstream academics were, predictably, skeptical. No peer-reviewed excavation, no serious consideration. Just a natural rock, many argued. But the sonar readings showed strange patterns, too regular, too smooth. Then came the alternative theorists, authors, filmmakers, fringe historians. They wove tales of a relic from a forgotten civilization, Atlantis, perhaps, or a pre-dynastic Egypt lost to a great flood. They pointed to water erosion patterns on the Great Sphinx itself, hinting at a far older timeline. The debate grew louder, but the ground remained undisturbed. No official dig. The underwater Sphinx, if it exists, remains trapped between myth and mud. The implications are staggering. If this is real, Egyptian history didn't begin with the 4th dynasty. It stretches back into prehistory, when the Sahara was green. Geologist Dr. Robert Schoch ignited this fire in the 90s, arguing the Great Sphinx's weathering wasn't wind and sand, but ancient, heavy rainfall, rain not seen at Giza since at least 700 BC. This could date the Sphinx thousands of years before the pharaohs. If water shaped the original, could it have hidden an even older sibling? Satellite and ground-penetrating radar hint at deliberate shapes buried deep. Could ancient, pre-literate people have built such a monument? It sounds implausible, until you remember Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, built by hunter-gatherers around 9600 BC, thousands of years before Stonehenge. If the underwater Sphinx is that old, it changes human history, hinting at a forgotten epoch. The stone itself tells a tale of water. Around the alleged site, sediment layers and erosion marks whisper of a time long before the desert. Geologists note smooth, rounded grooves suggesting prolonged exposure to flowing water, forces absent for millennia. Similar arguments have been made for the Great Sphinx enclosure. Could this underwater site bear the same ancient signature? Skeptics cry coincidence. But water doesn't carve symmetry that echoes a known Sphinx miles away. If water erased this monument, what else did it take? So, if it's real, why hasn't it been excavated? Why the silence? The answer lies beneath the surface, both literally and figuratively. Egyptian archaeological institutions are fiercely protective. Digging up something that challenges the official timeline requires immense proof, funding, and institutional blessing, an uphill battle. The Nile itself is a formidable obstacle. And then there's politics. Some even whisper that authorities might know more than they let on. So, it remains buried, by accident or by design. To the ancient Egyptians, the Sphinx was a guardian, a god, an enigma. What if a second, older one lies hidden? It would redefine the myth of Egypt itself, not as the dawn of civilization, but an echo of something far more ancient. The debate rages, traditional Egyptology versus a growing chorus of independent researchers demanding a closer look. It's more than academic, it's about how we approach the unknown. There's something haunting about a mystery buried in plain sight. Real or not, the underwater Sphinx fuels our desire to discover, to remember. It's an unanswered question in an age of instant answers. It may never be excavated. Politics, funding, tradition, these are formidable walls. But its obscurity has made it a mirror, reflecting what we choose to see and what we choose to ignore. Perhaps one day, the waters will recede, and the full form will emerge. Or perhaps the mystery will endure. But whether monument or mirage, the underwater Sphinx has already served its purpose. It ignites the imagination. And that, perhaps, is its greatest gift. A reminder that the past still breathes, waiting to be found. If this journey resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to explore more narrated stories on our channel. And remember, share this video with anyone who loves discovering powerful, unexpected stories. Thank you for being here with us on this journey. Your presence and support mean the world, and it's what inspires us to keep sharing these stories. We're grateful to have you as part of our community. If this story touched you, let us know in the comments. Your voice makes all the difference. Let's keep exploring these journeys together. If this journey resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to explore more narrated stories on our channel. And remember, share this video with anyone who loves discovering powerful, unexpected stories.